Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So big news for The Flash Season 2 and Season 3. So I'm going to talk about Power Girl and Black Siren. Two completely different things. One for Season 2, the other's like a Season 3 thing. Everybody was going crazy about Power Girl, so we'll start with Power Girl. They're just talking about Supergirl Flash crossovers next year. And Andrew Kreisberg, the showrunner on The Flash, said that it's totally possible we could see a version of Supergirl show up on Earth 1 that we just haven't met yet. But she would be wearing a quote-unquote different costume. She would not have Kara's backstory from the Supergirl TV show. There are a couple directions they could go with that, but a lot of people feel like that's just a hat tip to Power Girl, so we'll just assume until told otherwise that they're teasing Power Girl, and they're just going to use it as a creative way for a two-night crossover, or even just a one-way crossover. Technically, if they were to do Power Girl on The Flash, we would still have Supergirl from a different Earth, so if you really wanted to, you could have two different versions of Supergirl on a TV show at the same time. But I don't think they would go straight there. There have been comics where Supergirl has fought with Power Girl. There have been comics when they fought against each other. But if you have absolutely no idea who Power Girl is in the comics, or you haven't read the comics, she's Supergirl Kara Zor-El from a different universe. So you get how they shorten the name a little bit just to distinguish the character. It also explains the different costume. It's one of those situations where they created the character and then tried to weave her in with modern continuity. I've talked a little bit about Crisis on Infinite Earths. That was an attempt for DC to clean up its canon. But for the most part, Power Girl was relegated to Justice Society related stories. So what a coincidence that Arrow, The Flash, and all these TV shows are doing a lot of Justice Society things. So she totally works in with that. But there's a number of different ways they could explain her on the TV show. But whatever minor adjustments they end up making, they did say that if she showed up on Earth 1, she would be an alien, she would be from Krypton, she would still have a version of Supergirl's backstory. Now, Power Girl's backstory is very similar to Supergirl's, but there are a number of changes to explain how she got from her universe to the main DC universe. Because her backstory is really crazy before and after Crisis on Infinite Earths, just ignore a lot of that nonsense. Expect them to use the multiverse in the TV shows the way they've created it, just to explain that she is the version of Supergirl that left Krypton in the ship. Basically the same backstory that Supergirl has on her TV show, with the exception of Superman. They have not explained Superman and Batman and a lot of the other big heroes on Earth 1 yet. So I think the hardest part, and it's not really that hard, for bringing Power Girl on Earth 1 is explaining how she got to Earth, but Superman isn't there yet. Or is he there, and how's that gonna work? Because he does exist on the Supergirl TV show, we don't see him that often. So Power Girl on Earth 1 is actually a pretty simple proposition. It's really all the baggage that comes with it, so I'll be interested to see how they address that, because they could say Superman is stuck in the Phantom Zone, or he hasn't made it to Earth yet. He'd be of comparable age with Barry and a lot of the other people, so you'd have to explain why we haven't met him yet. Here's another really cool thing too. Power Girl's first appearance in the comics also featured, a whole bunch of characters, but amongst them, Jay Garrick and Hawkman. Now remember I said that she got tied up in a lot of Justice Society stories. Hawkman and Jay Garrick were members of the Justice Society, so that explains why they were working together. But I think if they wanted to do a three-night crossover, they would just substitute a couple characters for those Justice Society characters, like it'd be Barry instead of Jay Garrick. You could substitute Hawkgirl for Hawkman. You could substitute Oliver for the Alan Scott Green Lantern. Stephen Amell was actually joking about the idea of a three-night crossover, Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, sometime in the future, but he was also kind of not joking, so I don't know that they would do that next year, but I think eventually they'll get to the point where they can do that. The problem with stuff like that is it's just a logistical nightmare. It costs a lot of money and it's really hard to organize because for most of the year, they're almost constantly shooting their episodes. So realistically, I think what they would do is they would just do Power Girl on The Flash and they wouldn't try to explain it on Supergirl. Cannot wait to see how they make jokes about the boob window. They kind of did that when they did the Supergirl costume episode where, she's kind of figuring her costume out. She comes out with the Supergirl headband outfit. She comes out in the swimsuit version where she's like, yeah, I'm definitely not flying around in this. This is ridiculous. I feel like if she actually got a costume on The Flash, it would look a lot like the New 52 version of Power Girl's costume, minus the boob window for obvious reasons. But let me know in the comments, how do you want them to weave Power Girl into The Flash without being able to use her in every single episode? Because Melissa Benoist isn't going to go up to Vancouver to film an episode every single week. But while you guys think about that, let's talk about Black Siren, which is essentially Katie Cassidy going on The Flash as a version of Black Canary. But the way they're explaining it, it's kind of timey-wimey. So here's the deal. The character that Katie Cassidy is playing on The Flash is not Earth 2 Laurel Black Canary. What they're doing is they're kind of going the Hunter Zolomon route, where the same actor plays the character. It looks just like their Earth 1 counterpart, but they have a different backstory. So Earth 2 Katie Cassidy is going to be called Dinah Drake, who in DC Comics history is the mother of Black Canary. Her code name is Black Siren. Now, if you don't know anything about the character, don't feel bad because she was not in the comic books. She was only in the animated series, so technically it's not canon to DC Comics, but the TV shows have their own canon, so as long as they're internally consistent year to year, I'm totally fine with it. But I know a lot of you are asking, why would they go so far to change her name, change her backstory, make her feel so different from Laurel? Well, I think that's part of the explanation, is that they just killed the Laurel character, and they don't want you to feel like they're just going to bring Earth to Laurel back onto Arrow, because that's not going to happen. That's not what they're doing. They did say that it's possible that in the future, on Arrow, someone else could pick up the mantle of Black Canary. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about that in this video, because I'm going to do an Arrow video. They just announced the finale, so there's a bunch of Arrow-specific stuff going on that I'll talk about later. But just on The Flash, I feel like they wanted Katie Cassidy's character to feel like someone who's completely different, that you don't totally associate with Earth 1 Laurel. So up front, they're kind of answering the question as to why she just doesn't go back to Earth 1 and rejoin Team Arrow, and everybody rides off into the sunset together. But she will be a full-blown metahuman, and it seems like because she's been seen attacking Cisco, she's going to be a villain, which is in keeping with the theme of Earth 2 metahumans. Earth 2 on The Flash is kind of like Earth 3 in the comics, the Crime Syndicate Earth, where everybody is an evil version of an Earth 1 hero. Important information though, if you guys didn't know, the Black Siren Katie Cassidy episode is Flash episode 22. I don't remember if Kevin Smith said which episode he's doing. I think he's doing episode 21. He was teasing a crazy post-credit scene for his episode, so when we get closer to that, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the next episode of The Flash is not next week, but the week after that on the 19th, April 19th. Here's where it gets a little timey-wimey. The next episode of Arrow isn't until the week after that, April 27th. So when The Flash comes back that week, there won't be an episode of Arrow. But the week after that, like the last week in April, everything will be back 3 nights a week. So I know it sounds kind of weird. They didn't really explain why this is the case, but I guess we can blame basketball. Whatever explanation you want to think of, they just started filming the finales of both Arrow and The Flash, so if there's any really cool news, I'll include it in my future bonus videos. But be sure to subscribe to get everything, and actually giveaway time. Congratulations to this week's giveaway winner. Andrew Bonatti, you win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. That's just on the About page of my channel. I don't know when my Arrow bonus video is going to post, but I'll start another round of the giveaway whenever I post my next DC-related giveaway. So Batman v Superman, Arrow, Flash, something like that. I can already see it now. Everybody's going to run off to write their Power Girl fanfiction for The Flash. So while you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here for this week's Arrow WTF Death episode, and you can click here for my Game of Thrones episode 1 clip. They just dropped a big scene from Game of Thrones season 6 episode 1. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.